Welcome to the Note to Self podcast. I'm your host, Zoe. I'm a certified professional life coach, serial entrepreneur, verified YouTuber, and published author. On this podcast, you can expect actionable tips, reflections, and inspiration to live your best, most fulfilling life. So, let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Note to Self. I'm so excited to speak to you today. I've got another good pattern alert coming. But first, I just wanted to give a quick thank you to each of you who have taken the time to reach out to me about my podcast or rate the podcast or review it. It really means a lot to me that you've taken a piece of your day to support me. And I'm just so incredibly grateful. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Sending you all infinite blessings. And so today, let's just dive right in because I feel like this is a big one and I'm really excited to share it with you. And this is the pattern of being hard on ourselves as human beings. And this is so easy for us to do, right? It's so easy for us to fall into these places of self-judgment. But what I really want to reflect back to you all today is that if being hard on yourself worked, it would have worked by now. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. If being hard on yourself worked, it would have worked by now. Because the truth is, when we're in a place of self-judgment, right, where we're being hard on ourselves for something, maybe we're judging ourselves for procrastinating, we're judging ourselves for being lazy, we're judging ourselves for not doing enough, we're judging ourselves for, what we might be looking like, what we might be sounding like in conversation. Like there's an infinite ways of which we can judge ourselves. But there's infinite ways in which we can reframe, in which we can support, in which we can believe, in which we can love ourselves. Because it feels better to love ourselves than it feels to hate on ourselves, right? It feels much better when we're aligning with the light stories, with the truth, instead of feeding ourselves lies, right? It doesn't feel good when we're in self-judgment because it's not true, the things that we're judging ourselves around. We're lazy, or you don't look nice today, or you don't look put together, right? Whatever it might be, it's not true. And I want to reflect this back to you again and again and again because I feel like this is so incredibly important to grasp. And it's differentiating the ego and the soul. So the ego, right, is that place of judgment. The ego is the very brilliant part of the mind that just builds constructs based on everything it's been through in the past, based on all the information that it's taken in through your life existence. And it likes to create stories and it likes to naturally keep us in our comfort zones, keep us playing small. So that's why the ego naturally gravitates towards self-judgment, because when we're out of self-judgment and we're in curiosity, okay, because I think personally the opposite of judgment is curiosity. If you're going to be exploring, right? Sometimes we judge to explore, but really we don't get anywhere. When we open ourselves up to curiosity, then we become the conscious, gentle observers of our experience, and we can expand our realm of possibilities. And whenever we expand our realm of possibilities, I mean, no wonder the ego feels like it might need to get a little bit feisty, might need to start judging some things, right? But there's our opportunity to stop being hard on ourselves and continue to shift into that greater, higher version of the self. It's always an opportunity to shift when we find ourselves in a trigger. It's always an opportunity to shift when we find ourselves in self-judgment. So I really want to encourage you today that if there's any area of your life where you're judging yourself, tell yourself right now, there's just no more time for me to be hard on myself, because it actually doesn't work. It actually keeps you in the vibration, keeps me in the vibration of feeling stuck or feeling stagnant. It's when we decide to shift into curiosity is when we allow for new potentials and new possibilities, and we allow ourselves to be free. We shift from that heaviness into the lightness, and we open up for possibilities, solutions, new levels of belief in the self, and new levels of love for the self. So I'll also give you guys an example right now. So let's say that today you had a number of things on your to-do list, but you didn't get through them all, right? And maybe you didn't get through them all because maybe you ran into a friend and you got talking, or maybe the body was really tired and called for an afternoon nap or called for some relaxation in the afternoon, and you didn't complete everything that you wanted to complete. It can be very, very easy for the ego to fall into a place of judgment around that. But the truth is, there are many opportunities here to become curious. Like, oh, okay, so today I went hard in the morning and I got a lot of stuff done, but then by the afternoon, I felt like I really just needed to take a nap. And so, in that place of curiosity about looking at your energy body and how it was operating that day, there can be a lot of key insights and awarenesses that can arise from that. Let's say you got a few things done in the morning, or you were running around, or you were out of the house, you were here and there. Being in a collective consciousness of energy, running errands, maybe the weather was really hot or it was really cold, or maybe there was a lot of efforting involved, right? No wonder you might need to take an afternoon nap or call work quits midday. Okay. And if you think about how the mind might be operating in that situation, if the mind is in self judgment about that, you're not even going to be able to relax, right? As much as you might be lying down, you're going to make yourself wrong the whole time if the mind is in that place of judgment, if the ego is in that sort of loop. But the power comes in catching that, catching yourself each moment in time where you're being hard on yourself and shifting into that curiosity. Because reflecting on the day then and being in that place of curiosity could look like something like, okay, well, I ran errands in the morning and I noticed that it was super hot outside and it just took a lot of my energy. I was like sweating. I felt like I might could have used a bit more water. I could have used a little bit more rest. I could have used a bit more shade. Okay, so now reflecting on that, I'm not going to make myself wrong for not getting it all done. I know how to manage my energy. I know that maybe I can't do that many errands if I want to have a productive work day, or maybe I save my errand running for early in the morning when it's cooler, or later in the evening when it's cooler, things like that. I feel like that's just a hot weather example because we're moving into summer and I'm just sending all those sunshine vibes. But yeah, so again, if being hard on yourself worked, it would have worked by now. And so I encourage you to use this episode as your opportunity to catch yourself when you are being hard on yourself, when you're making yourself wrong, or you're in that place of self-judgment. One thing that I always come back to is when I find myself in judgment, I think ABC. Always be curious. When we are in curious mode, curiosity space, and that energy, we, like I said, invite an entirely new realm of possibilities. This is where you shift and you shift fast. So, the sooner that you can catch yourself in that trigger, you have the opportunity to shift and you have the opportunity to then align more and more with your higher timeline each time that happens. And this also feeds into the compound effect of change. The faster you get at shifting, the faster you get at catching yourself when you are being hard on yourself, and then begin to add lightness in. Before you know it, each of your days are more filled with lightness than there is any heaviness. And you know how to shift those moods, shift those feelings, shift that wrong making, shift that judgment so fast. So sending you all so, so much love. And I hope that this pattern alert sparked something in you. I also want to give you a quick reminder that my 2-day free masterclass, Wealthy and Well Traveled, is coming right up. And if you haven't signed up, the link will be down below. This is the last chance to sign up. If more fun, more freedom, more finances is something that aligns with you, I will see you there. Love you guys and have a beautiful, abundant day. Thank you for listening to Note to Self. If you enjoyed this episode, please help me out by rating and reviewing this show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If my energy is resonating with you and you feel the call to work with me, there are an abundance of ways to do so. I offer one-to-one life coaching programs, mastermind containers, and DIY courses, all of which are available through my website, zoearielpolson.com. Until next time, take note of all the abundance that surrounds you as you make the most of this game called life.